And we are live, live, live. I am quoting John Pounders on that one. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I'm going to read Psalm 1 today. That's because one of my favorite pastors, uh, Jer- Dr. Jeremiah, he did a message on Psalm 1. And so I decided I would read it live for my audience. All right. I found it. Psalm 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, for the that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. So that psalm, we used to sing it as Psalter One up in Washington, and it stuck with me as I went through the Navy and through my life. I often read it, and I've written it out a few times. I don't have it memorized, but I recognize it when I hear it, and I know when someone is talking about it. So, without much introduction. So I just like what it has to say. It's very comforting and reassuring that it's worth it to believe in Jesus because we will stand with God when we do. And another thing is that the tree. I like the imagery and the tree and the river and you know, I mined the first verse I minded it when I was in the Navy and tried not to be the scornful one, you know? And so now I just am trying to figure out how to apply that scripture in the civilian world because I'm a veteran now and not in the Navy anymore. So I just, always adhere to it and read it and use it as a model. Imagine that. The first Psalm is a good model for living life, I think. And that's another reason why I talk about religion so much, is to meditate day and night on the Lord and his precepts. I didn't really do anything today. I couldn't go anywhere because my dad is sick. So I don't really have nothing special happened. Although he did get me breakfast this morning, which I really appreciated. But he wouldn't let me go with him. So he went through the drive-through and I didn't get my pancakes and sausage. Instead, I got sausage biscuit and a uh, and hash brown. The hash brown made up for that a little bit, but like I was looking forward to the pancakes and the texture and everything, and didn't get them. So maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. In a few hours, we'll be able to say, "Thank God it's Friday." TGIF. Friday when I was working was my favorite day of the week because that's the day the weekend starts. uh, I am chatting with someone on Discord about. I was telling them my sea story about the Juno, being stuck at sea for 9 months and how I downloaded AIM onto Nipper and chatted with Steph. I missed that. I missed being able to chat with Steph. She was a real, you know, she was had a real soft spot for me while I was in the Navy, at least. But like after I got out, she just kind of dropped me cold. Kind of hurts. Anyways, enough about that. I could go on about that for hours. You would think I was insane. But here's the thing is that Trump has uh, something to say today about Iran, and he moved three of our warships back into the blockade. So the blockade is still in effect along the Hormuz and Iran. The Iranians tried to attack again, but their ships were sent to the bottom. That's what Trump essentially said. Go Trump. Trump 2028. I'm gonna refill my coffee, so I'm not gonna be talking for a minute. I'll be right back. I'm trying to get some live streaming in while before I go to another live stream on Discord, on Twitch actually. Hey, Discord. I'll be right back with coffee. Hold your horses. Right, I'm back. I'm sure you can see my messy room. Oh, I uh I went outside and smoked after I got my coffee, and I couldn't see any stars. I was so disappointed. Nevertheless, the sky was beautiful during the day. We had a mixture of sunny weather and cloudy weather, so it was really beautiful. I hope it storms again. I thought I heard thunder earlier today, but I guess not. I I'm on Discord trying to follow a stream, another stream. And I just want to go back to Psalm 1 a little bit. Is I had some more thoughts while I was smoking, and I thought about how basically, you know, Psalm 1 is a double-edged sword because on one hand you have the righteous person, and on the other hand, with you have the unrighteous person who actually is in danger and needs to repent. And it's a warning too. It's a reassurance to the righteous and to those who are living right, and it's a warning to those who are not. So, you know, Yeah, so I had an opportunity to tell someone about my collision back in 2020, January 29th. Basically, I was doing an Uber and I went to turn left and the light was flashing. And so I went, but a car was coming. And so I sped up. I didn't want to live. I missed Steph that much. And so I, uh, I, went, when I woke up, I regretted that I got up and had to carry on and move on in life from the collision. But it's like uh God had a reason, and here I am talking about the Bible so for people, and I hope you enjoy it because I enjoy it. I feel a closeness to the Lord while I'm doing it, and His presence is near. His Holy Spirit is within me, and Jesus is by my side, I believe. And so I discuss this uh, as often as I can so I can feel a closeness with the Lord. I basically went and told him about the Rambling Irishman as well on Discord. It was fascinating. The Rambling Irishman was a homeschooled Christian web page, and back in 2000, that was where I met Steph, and we uh, we got to page 6 on Yahoo. This was before Google, so that was a pretty big deal back then. Yeah, if you went to page 6 on Yahoo, you'd see the Rambling Irishman. So we were pretty popular for a while back in the heyday. We would have debates and arguments and uh, post pictures. It was a big deal to get a picture of somebody back then because it was hard to upload a picture you had to scan it. Originally, you had to scan pictures. You couldn't just use your phone and get a picture. And if you it probably was a poor quality picture, you know? So the internet has come a long ways since those days. But I miss the Rambling Irishman because I was around like-minded people, you know? So now, most of the time, I'm around people that are not like-minded and don't, so a lot of them don't believe the Bible, and some of them don't support Trump. So, you know, I'm sometimes by myself in that. I try to fit in with groups that support Trump or are Christian, but they kick me out because I talk about the persecuted church. They call the Christian groups call it politics when I discuss the persecuted church. So I joined a Facebook group today that was this Christian, and I discussed uh, Kazakhstan because they have Christians there now, and so they need prayer. And I didn't get banned, so that's amazing. But I'm really just sitting here talking. I try not to cuss, but I was about to say the shit word. It's small talk. You can't always have a big conversation or a big message. You got to have small talk too, because you need a chance to let people gather and communicate before you start spreading your message. And one of my messages is that the SAVE Act is not good for us because they will have to come up with some brand new way for us to identify ourselves because these illegals already have a driver's license. Right now, if they pass the SAVE Act, the illegals will still be able to vote. So that increases the support for my argument that this SAVE Act is a Trojan horse, and it is a dangerous thing. If you're white and you want to be able to vote, you don't want this to pass. I'm warning you now. I talked to the candidate in 2013, and she told me already that this was going to happen where the white people will be discriminated against. I think they'll focus on the white males first because, you know, they have to break us down first, and then they go for the women and children. But in some circles, they're already focused on the children, like during the Biden administration. See, because they tried to make it so we just had to watch as they emasculate our children and effeminate them and turn them into women. Like the first time I see a woman go into the woman's restroom, they're not going to have any teeth. I might sound like a hypocrite, but I don't. I don't stand for that. Men going into the women's restroom. So I'm on Facebook, and I was discussing with somebody and explaining how the current situation with the UAPs and UFOs is a deception. You know, there might be some lizard people involved, but like I do believe there is life out there somewhere. But I believe that they look a lot like us because they were made in the image of God. But they exist. I don't know how they got there or how they were are there, but they're there somewhere, way out there in space. They're on a planet or occupying another planet or planets, and they might have light speed for all we know. But they were probably maybe they were sent out by King Solomon, or before the flood. There was technology before the flood that could have enabled them to go into space, I think, and and maybe even at the Tower of Babel. You know, I don't know. I wasn't there. They had some kind of technology. It's said at the Tower of Babel, and you had King Solomon as well, who had the wisdom of God. If NASA could launch a ship to the moon, then I'm sure that uh, having the wisdom of God, King Solomon could have launched a colony ship or something up into space with people on it to a new planet or planets. Might have been more than one. I don't know. I'm just it's a theory based off of you know stuff I've heard. You know that there was technology before the flood, and that there was technology at the Tower of Babel, and technologies were introduced with King Solomon as well. And you never know, he might have there might maybe the technology got destroyed after King Solomon died, you know, and was unusable. Only King Solomon knew how to use it and how to launch a spacecraft. Well, anyways, I'm just continuing on browsing Facebook, and I'm going to show him my video. Looks like I'm out of coffee. I gotta go get more coffee. And I might smoke a cigarette. Well, anyways, I might order takeout. Same thing. All right. So I shared that hymn. It's um our God is a mighty fortress, or a mighty fortress is our God. And I just wanted to share it because, you know, like the devil gets a lot of credit for things going on in the world, but uh sometimes they say the devil fell from grace. But I don't think the devil fell from grace. He was always that way. Jesus said he was a liar and a thief from the beginning. He was a stoner. He was a stoner. He was a stoner, remember? He was a stoner, remember? He was a stoner, remember? You don't remember, obviously. Yeah. I like to listen to music on YouTube. I like that I can select different songs and if I don't like what I'm hearing, I can go listen to a different one. You know, that's so neat. It's better than the radio. You know, like uh the radio has Taylor Swift and that's it. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Still there? uh let's see. What's another one I could play for you? I could play Psalm 10. Well, right now, I guess it's Christian Raven singular, but if there are 12 Christian Ravens,
Purple board? What the fuck is that? My wall is purple. Doesn't look like it for some reason. Right. Deal with some pornographic Max Tours database. What the fuck is a Max Tour? I'm gonna try to find those tomorrow. Hmm. Okay. I don't know if she's told you, Mr. Rita, but Toka has the biggest crush on me right now. Having a puppet now. He's almost as hot as like the old fat guy. They can speak correctly about politics. If I was Haley getting intoxicated and trying to lure her to my apartment in Los Angeles, only not one. And this is still not like a high bar. That's the worst part. This is a low bar. The fact that I'm traveling with these guys is just Hmm. I was in San Diego once. I don't remember. I know that sounds like a big break, but I guess here's what I think. So there was a big How was your day, Katie Kitten and Lena Condoit?
So that was Psalm 10. Yahweh is King forever with the Psalm Project. And I'm mentioning them because I really enjoy the Psalm Project. Like it's really a good thing to have the Psalms to use it, because you don't really get that very often.
Joke about child rape.
And yet King David was known for singing. It's interesting. So we don't know what he sang. Maybe not the Psalms. Maybe he sang something else, but you know. Then another one I wanted to play for you is the Star Spangled Banner. This is a real treat.
California gets a bad rap because of its terrible government. Uh, I would like to go back and check it out. Right? Terribly. I mean, I don't understand why California's government gets such a specifically bad rap either, because it's just like every other state government. You elect them to do things, and yet they just don't. Name a state government where the government does what the public tells them. I asked, I asked my super conservative viewer the other day to name one good thing that came out of the big beautiful bill. And he said, as you could argue that passing the no tax on kids law is insane. And Trump ran on and actually did. So there is one thing, I guess. Now you have to shove it into a bill full of social and economic destruction. But other than that, you know, no, I hate that shit. That I think is the biggest problem with our government. I think my a single topic. How about let's say you really want to stop taxes? Let's do no, like yeah, do we want a big beautiful volume? Well, no, I'm not even talking about the public voting on it. I'm just saying the fucking government stop lumping 50 fucking things into one bill. Just vote on each of it because that's always their excuse. They'll say, hey, I wrote this bill to take away taxes on tips. Someone will say, I don't like that, but if you add, uh, $5 billion to the Iron Dome, then I'll vote for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you have these two things that have nothing to do with each other. And if people say, well, I don't want to fucking vote for wasting billions of American dollars on the dome that doesn't even work, then they vote it down. And then people say, oh, well, they couldn't pass no tax on tips.
All right,
That's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
gonna
Is that
go.
dumb shit
See you
where you
later.
just vote on the